while we were waiting in line, there's a guy. The car ahead of us is leaving like a 2-car gap between them and the next car, and this is relevant because when we first pull up behind them, we're still on the main road. That's how backed up this line is. So we're on the main road, and they are just leaving car length, like they're deciding if they're going to stay or leave. But they just do this the entire time, the whole way up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm getting the radio going, trying to find the right station.
Movies on video cassette.
Welcome to Strange Glow Video.
Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish.
We're oozing with VHS, horror, nostalgia, and more.
New better block glow in the dark.
After it drops a videotape, you can get a glow-in-the-dark hand puppet from the movie Casper.
And now, your hosts, Alec, Justin, and Nick.
Hey, you're not allowed to rent here anymore.
Yeah! Welcome back to Strange Glow Video. Tonight we're going to talk about an amazing, well, maybe not amazing, but we're going to talk about a movie.
It's amazing that they didn't fuck it up completely.
Did we watch the same movie, Nick? Because
I don't know, Nick.
What?
This is going to be interesting. I really don't know how I feel completely yet, so I'm going to have to find out tonight.
So just yeah, we really haven't talked about it amongst ourselves.
I will say this.
I said I liked it last night. That's about all we got out of the three of us.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
But Justin thinks that they completely fucked it up. Is that what that means?
I don't know. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. So if you didn't figure it out, we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny tonight.
Yeah, but not right now. We're going to talk about pickups and news and stuff.
Nick, you can see us still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, you know.
Well, when I have you minimized, I can only see the person talking, but
it's like a digital glory hole. You know what I mean? Here's my pickups. Not too many since we recorded Wednesday last week.
Yeah, we only got a 5-day gap this time.
Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase.
Interesting. Is that one any good?
Yeah, it's decent. It's from 2001. It's okay. It's I think it's the fourth one that they made. They made Zombie Island, then they made Witch's Ghost, then they made Alien Invaders, and then this one. And this is the last one I liked in that series. I like a lot. So
okay. So it was a good find for you then.
Yes, I've been looking for that on VHS. And then this I just thought was pretty cool. It's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, but it's done by Disney. It's 33 minutes. Does it say what year it's from? I don't think I've seen it before though, but looks pretty
just like a Disney Channel type show or something like that.
Well, it's like a 30-minute just special on it, I guess. Yeah, just says Disney favorite stories. And you know what we all like.
Holes.
Mm-hmm. Lots of holes.
Front holes, back holes, side
other holes. And then lastly, I have two little. I got two more of the Alf Wendy's figurines.
Those are cool.
This one's like a Shakespearean Alf, I guess. He has a rose behind his back.
All right.
And then this one is he's a knight. And he's standing on an alligator.
Okay, so I don't know.
I have 4 of these now, and I think there might be 6 in total.
So you're most of the way there is what you're saying.
Yeah. I want to get some of the Happy Meal boxes, too. The kids' meal boxes, whatever they fucking call them there. But that's it. That's what I got.
Burger King Kids Club is what they used to call it.
No, that was Wendy's.
Oh, Wendy's. Yeah, I don't even know what they called their meals at all.
I can know what Burger King thing.
Okay, just checking. I don't know if you're just high and had a mind slip.
I have a cup from Last Action Hero from the Burger King Kids Club.
Hells yeah. That's a great fucking movie, by the way. I need to watch that again.
I was in 3rd grade when they came out with the Burger King. They had the kids meal, and then they came out with the big kids meal.
Yeah.
and it was like a double cheeseburger, and it still came with a toy, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, this is where I'm at. I'm here for this."
And it came with like extra nuggets if you got it instead of
Instead of a 4, it was a 6-piece, I think. So
yeah.
sick.
I mean, that's a good idea for somebody that's like got a big appetite or a kid. You know, I get it.
I don't know if
Did they
do
check the? Did they check to make sure you had pull-up diapers on before they let you get it, or
I don't know.
you had to make sure that you're a big boy? Or
No,
That's probably.
I was not sexually assaulted at Burger King, if that's what you're asking. And if I was, I blocked it out.
I was gonna say if I was, it's a repressed memory.
yeah, you're not going to remember all of it. You know?
I need to steal that soundbite from Family Guy. The repressed memories.
Yeah, you do just that bit. Yeah. So I don't have any pickups this week, but I did buy, and I'll tell you about it on here because I mentioned it in our group chat. Finally picked up an Extreme Ghostbusters Ecto 1. Came with both Eduardo figures, but the accessories to those guys are incorrect, so I'm not too worried about that. I really just wanted the Ecto 1.
Well, one of the packs might be right, because I believe you might even think, no, they're both wrong, but one of them might be right because they're both of them are from the deluxe figures. So one of them might be his because I think both Eduardo and Kylie came with different colored ones for the deluxe.
Okay.
So you'd have to look into that to see.
Just like with the regular figures, right? And found out recently that the toys were so far ahead, like they're originally doing the concept based on concept art from Super Ghostbusters before they changed it to Extreme Ghostbusters. So I think that's why Egon and Roland had the different packs on there. Like, because they have the ones that look like the Luigi's Mansion style packs, like the little vacuum backpacks, but the same ones, blasters, whatever you want to call them. So, but I'm excited about that. I got a pretty good deal on that. So I've been looking at it for a while, and the price on the eBay seller finally dropped. It finally went down because I thought it was too much for, shipping and everything with it, plus that. But he finally dropped the price $10, and then finally had to make an offer because it's been on there for a while. So I made an offer and it got accepted, and I saw a charge on my card come through, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, oh. I didn't even, usually I get an email from like eBay saying like your offer was accepted. This time I just got a statement saying, hey, it's like your offer was accepted and you already paid, because I pre-sorted my payment method. So
we need a de-esser on your voice.
Me?
Yeah.
I can adjust my mic. Does that sound better?
You're just very sibilant.
Oh, yeah.
It's
He's
like
a
almost,
snake.
It's kind of, I had to turn you down a little bit on my end just because it was like starting to get to me.
Oh, that's fine. Well, Nick
That's
just sounds super
fine.
digitized, so
Fine.
I am a robot. Well, I bought a lot of DC Multiverse figures this week, since our last recording. But so the brothers' toy store moved to like a block from my house. I can walk there in a few minutes now. So, but I got some good deals. They mismarked one of the really rare figures, so I got a good deal on that. And then today at the local vintage stock, which is right down the road, they were hiding some figures from me at the display case by the register. So I got a bunch of good deals there and some rare figures, and so. But I've charged everything because I'm still in a bit of a financial pickle, so I can just pay on that a little bit of every month for the next year or whatever,
yeah.
So yeah, I had quite a few pickups this week.
Well, Alec and I got to deal with his car nonsense, so I'm sure that prevented some pickups.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
yeah, well, I mean, there wasn't anything that I was going crazy for to try and get, but like those tapes were each $1, and those Alf figures were fairly cheap as well. So,
well, yeah, my car issues got me working like 12, 13-hour days every day, so I'm about fucking fed up with it. So
I did try the new Mountain Dew Baja Caribbean Splash and Baja Passion Fruit Punch.
Oh, where'd you find those at?
I found them at the Casey's over. That's really close to my place.
Okay.
Just on the other side
I
of the
think they
highway.
had. I think they had all those flavors in the alcoholic versions too. I saw that at Walmart and didn't realize they were alcohol at first. Let me see.
Yeah, I
I took
haven't
a
tried
picture.
alcoholic Baja
I-
yet. I just don't really drink.
Yeah, they got regular Baja Blast Pineapple, Baja Blast Punch, and Baja Blast Mango, all in the alcoholic versions.
Yeah, I tried those the other day. They're not bad. And I tried them before.
Is
Some different flavors.
the Baja Blast might be good. I don't know.
I mean, they're fine if you like drinking. I mean, you'd probably like them, Nick, since you're not a huge beer fan. They're probably more up your alley. But
Well, what's the alcohol content on them? I guess I got them in the picture here. Because that's another problem with beers. There's just not enough alcohol in them, and you got to drink so much to get anything out of it. 'Cause
yeah,
I actually have a pretty high tolerance, you know.
well, you're a wine drinker,
But
so yeah.
but I get really full, you know, from all the beer. I just I don't know. Like I can get past the taste, but fuck, I just got to drink so much of it. It's just
You said butt fuck.
there's a comma.
Yeah,
Well,
but
we didn't see that.
Well, there's a lot of piggies out tonight trying to catch people shooting off fireworks, I guess.
Johnson County, over where you're at, it's illegal, but where Alec and I are at, it's fully legal. So it sounds like a war zone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're still going off over here, you know, but yeah. It's like fucking Baghdad over here, you know?
Yeah. What are you eating, Alec?
Reese's Dicks.
Oh yeah.
They're a go-to of mine.
Do we have any news or what?
News? I don't think we have any crazy news, really. I mean, I think this week was kind of quiet leading up into a holiday weekend. But I will say, I watched
some
Independence.
interesting- Oh, you did already?
I watched Independence Day tonight. Yeah.
You blew your load already, huh?
Well, the kids are going to be over tomorrow, so I figured I'd watch it tonight.
Are you gonna watch the sequel tomorrow?
No.
Hmm.
I pretend like that sequel doesn't exist. It's
You're gonna watch
I mean,
Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
that's a better movie. Or actually, I'll probably watch Return of the Living Dead tomorrow night. Should have watched
Oh.
that tonight. Honestly,
Why?
starts on July 3rd.
Oh, that's
5:30
right.
p.m.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, because I've seen a couple people post that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
forgot. 1984.
85.
It says 84 in the picture that's been going around.
Oh yeah, no, the movie was released in 85. Is what I was saying.
Oh yeah, okay. The movie takes place in 84. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to transition to the movie now, or?
Well, we have our experience getting to the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up first was that.
We'll start there. So, originally, I was just
'Cause
going to go to see it at a movie theater around here. You know, what theater did you go to, Nick? Or like not specifically location, but like
I went to the AMC up in Berry Woods.
Damn, you went up north?
Yeah, my movie buddy lives like right next door to it, and he's got kids and responsibilities, so I figured keep it close.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Justin wanted to go to the drive-in, and I was like,
Yeah,
All
if I had known ahead of time you guys were going to do that, I thought you were going on Saturday. I probably would have joined you guys.
well, honestly, it's really close to me, so it'd be good for lots of things. We could like go to the drive-in some night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or a
Things.
double feature or something.
We didn't stay for the second movie.
Oh, was there a second movie with your ticket?
It
Huh?
was Elemental.
Oh yeah.
Too bad it wasn't Spider-Verse.
Well,
Yeah.
the timing at the intermissions is off. So, had they planned that a little bit better, we could have switched and watched Spider-Verse on the other screen, but didn't pan out that way. Yeah, so we went to the drive-in, and I asked Alec to bring a stereo because the drive-in up there, the speakers don't work. That are on the poles, the old school speakers. So I was like, hey, bring a radio in case we sit in the lawn chairs, because if you sit outside your car, you don't have any way to listen.
Yeah.
unless you're relying on anyone near you to have that. But we had perfect weather.
There might be a drive-in out there somewhere that has the speakers that work still. I bet there is, or that ones that have revamped them, even if they're a newer thing. But this one, the speakers don't work yet anymore. So
yeah, I think the Boulevard across town, the speakers still work. So
that's cool.
But that's a single screen, so I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but if they're not playing the movie you want to see, then you're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, you guys got there at a reasonable time, and there was still too long of a line to get there.
Well, we got there at some reasonable time. I think what did they say? It starts at 9:30, and we were there at 9:35.
Yeah, I ran into a couple of delays on my way out the door, so.
But by the time we were there, that's when everybody should already be in, and we should be able to just pop in. But they only have one person, checking people, giving them tickets and stuff.
So there's basically, in theory, they can handle 4 cars at a time to be paying, but they only had a single cashier working. Even though there's 2 people in the booth, they only had the one side of the gate open.
What the fuck?
So basically, you could pay out of the left side or the right side, in theory, if they had people working these windows properly. And the last time I went there, they didn't have that issue. And I'm thinking on a Sunday night on a holiday weekend, you've only got one entrance opened? That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So we sat in line it was after 10 by the time we got parked.
It was easily 15, 20 minutes for sure.
Yeah.
But you guys missed trailers and then the first part of the opening of the movie.
Yeah, by the time we were pulling in, I could see the flash playing on the other movie across the screen, already the opening scene. But while we were waiting in line, there's a guy, the car ahead of us is leaving a 2-car gap between them and the next car. And this is relevant because when we first pull up behind them, we're still on the main road. That's how backed up this line is. So we're on the main road, and they are just leaving car length, they're deciding if they're going to stay or leave. But they just do this the entire time, the whole way up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm getting the radio going, trying to find the right station, and we realize how quiet the radio is.
I get people doing that at red lights and shit, and sometimes it'll cut me off from being able to get in the left turn lane, and I miss a light or something. That fucking drives me crazy.
Yeah. It was annoying me, especially since the line was moving so slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually we get in there, and the first thing of this movie I'm seeing is from what I can tell, because it's very dark, but at a drive-in, your experience is. Here's what I liked about it: the young Indiana Jones in this looked great because the movie. Well, that's the thing. You saw it. Nick, sucks to be you, man. Sucks to be you, because he looked great to me because I saw it at a drive-in from pretty far back.
That usually doesn't bother me. I mean, I saw it on IMAX, so maybe it's. But I noticed. I noticed the audio sync with his CGI face wasn't always lining up, and sometimes the light reflecting off his skin just made it look really fake. And normally it doesn't bother me, but it did take me out of it here and there, and I thought they could have done a better job with that. But
it's to me, it's like the difference of watching a movie on VHS or watching it on 4K. You got that 4K. Yeah, we watched the shit on VHS, so it looked great to me.
Yeah, see, that was the thing. It felt like a vintage Indiana Jones experience as far as the visuals of it, and even the stereo. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, the first 20 minutes or whatever, the 1944 bit, just feels like an old Indiana Jones movie. I mean, you got a little bit of CGI going on, but it felt like a missing 1990s movie for about 20 minutes, or an episode of a show or something.
Yeah, when we got in there, he was fighting Nazis on top of a train. Missed everything.
Okay, well, you didn't miss much. They drag him out of a trunk with a sack on his head, and then they question him a little bit, and then they go to hang him, and then Americans drop a missile or a bomb, and it doesn't go off.
Wait.
What?
Is this
What?
the Kingdom of Crystal Skull again? They bring him out of a trunk with a bag on his head,
Yeah.
and then you're telling me they drop a bomb.
Yeah, and it doesn't go off, but then it like sinks down to the basement, and then it explodes, and it kills all the Nazis, but then like Harrison Ford's dangling by a noose, from the explosion, and then the gargoyle, whatever he's tied to, like falls, and then it starts to go down the hole, and he's got to like get his noose off his neck before he gets dragged down there.
Oh, so they ripped off Batman '89.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
and then he gets in one of the Nazis' cars and is about to get away, and then a bunch of Nazis get in the back seat, so he's got to drive them, and then he drives toward the train, jumps out onto a motorcycle, and then gets on the train. So you guys didn't. Well, I guess you guys missed all the shit inside the train too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed almost the entirety of the 1944 section then.
Yes, I'm saying that when we got there, he was on top of the train for about 2 minutes most.
Well, now that I go through it, yeah, you guys missed a lot. Yeah, I would.
B&B Theaters Twin Drive-In. I appreciate that.
I would at the first 20 minutes if I were you guys to catch up or. Yeah, because it feels like
I'm not paying. I'm not.
Yeah, it feels like a 20-minute old Indiana Jones movie there. So you guys missed possibly the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you missed. And you missed
kind of what I was thinking.
And you missed an amazing trailer for this movie called The Creator, and I can't fucking wait. It's gonna be great. It's almost like Terminator Salvation, but more interesting.
In
it
that
takes
it doesn't
place
have
in like
Terminators?
well, it does. It's got these AI robots.
That
post-apocalyptic and shit.
Does it have Anton Yelton in it?
I think he died.
Oh,
so
fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's a bummer. Did we review
Yeah.
Green Room?
Yeah, we covered
Yeah.
that.
That movie
Yeah.
rules.
I actually saw that at the Independent Theater in Columbia when I was living there. That was before he died, obviously, but I was like Patrick Stewart and Anton Yelchin. Come on.
Yeah,
I like
and not in the same Star Trek movie.
Yeah, they're two Star Trek guys. So yeah, so they're on the train, and then got Spear of Christ or Dagger of Christ, and they're like it's a fake. They discover that it's a fake, and so does Indy. But then there's the Dial of like half of the Dial of Destiny's there too, and then like his friend is all about that. So then they fight over that, and then that's when Mads Mikkelsen goes up to the roof to stop him from escaping. My question is, how does Mads Mikkelsen survive what happens on the train? Because he took a sign to the face at full speed and falls off. I don't know. I thought there was going to be some kind of time travel shenanigans to explain how he was still alive, but
So did I.
I don't know how the fuck.
I immediately thought, okay, well, he's clearly the villain, but they're gonna. He's like.
I turned to my buddy. I was like, "How's he in the movie later? He just fucking ate it, But he doesn't even have a scar on his face."
Yeah, that was kind of questionable. Like,
well, supposedly this movie got reshot and rewritten. Maybe there was something, or that didn't happen originally. I don't know.
There's a lot of wacky shit in this, though. I mean,
For
it's
sure.
Indiana Jones, and I'm not here to say that Jesus is not wacky, because that's some wacky shit.
Time travel is more probable than the shit that happened in the first three movies. Aliens is more probable by far,
Yeah, not necessarily those type of aliens, but
sure. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not. I don't know. We'll get there. But
people that act like these last two movies are silly, but the first three makes sense. They're out of their fucking mind because they believe all this Jesus shit. And no,
Right.
That's way more outside of reality than aliens and time travel.
That's why Temple of Doom is my favorite. And by concept, Kingdom of Crystal Skull is my second favorite, but execution not so much, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, and you know that I'm a sucker for time travel stories, so that probably definitely helped my enjoyment of this one.
Yeah.
See, I was hoping for a lot more time travel than they actually did. I was actually quite disappointed with how little it was, and it was like the time frame they chose. Like, it was interesting, but it was just like,
See, I didn't think it was going to be straight up time travel. Like, oh, look, there's a portal and we go through the portal. I was like, oh, God, when they kind of announced that shit. I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be different. Like, even fucking X-Men Days of Future Past, where your consciousness is traveling. That would make more sense to me. Because that would make it more sense to me with the Nazi shit. Like, that guy's traveling back and forth between his consciousness, changing shit, and Indiana Jones has to go, fuck some shit
So
up.
it was like
Yeah.
Nazi quantum leap then.
I mean, almost, because that sounds like it would be less cringy, because when they, spoiler alert, get all the way back to the Roman shit, I'm like, oh, fucking God.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be a consciousness thing, like his consciousness in the future was going to inhabit his, younger self or something.
Yeah, and it's ironic that, time travel movie
Because
is...
there was
Indy
people talking like they thought young Indy was going to be in more of this movie than just the beginning,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's good that they didn't have a ton of that in there, right? I think, you set the movie up and say, here's what's going with it. But at the same time, yeah, if you're going to do that, it's got to look amazing. And we sat at the back of the drive-in, so as far as I could tell, it was great.
The visuals are fine from where we sat. That's I'm sure if I saw it in a theater, I'd be complaining about those more. But let's talk about Shaw.
I didn't have any issues with CGI other than the de-aging at the beginning, really.
God damn, you could not wait to interrupt me, could you, son?
Sorry.
I feel like Nick never watches our mouths talking, so he doesn't know when a good pause is.
Well, also, there's probably a little bit of a delay because it's all going through some weird shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your voice is not matching your lip movements for me.
Yeah, I can tell you got a bad connection because for a minute there you were sounded really clear, and then now you sound shitty again.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Shaw. I saw people saying that was a good character, and then I also saw people saying that the kid, I didn't follow his name.
His name is Tall Square. His great value short round. They didn't bother to give him any characterization, did they? They even have the same story of how her and him met. He tried to rob her or whatever, That's the same story as Indy and Short Round. They couldn't even come up with something original.
I
thought Indy was going to bring up Short Round. I was like, oh, that's just how I met my old buddy Short Round. But no.
This movie would have been better had you just let Sala go on the adventure with her, or Short Round.
Well, I was looking at John Rhys Davies, and it doesn't seem like he's walking very well these days. So that's probably why.
Yeah, no, I mean, it checks out, but still, it was just like a dick tease because then...
Yeah, it was nice to see him.
Normally, I'm all for new characters and stuff, but I don't know. Shaw just kind of didn't do anything for me. The kid was better than Shaw, and the kid was also boring, and then was randomly flying a fucking airplane, never touched one before. Like, fuck this.
Yeah.
That was the shit that
at least they acknowledged that he wouldn't be able to land it, and that's why they had the pilot sleeping in the plane.
Yeah, but that's stupid then, because they are just flying around. And they're not. That old man's not freaking out. He's just like, "Oh, you're flying my plane, and now we're in the Roman times. Cool. One afternoon."
Yeah. Well, I didn't mind Shaw's character. I know a lot of people assumed it was going to be super woke, and she was going to upstage him at every turn, and I didn't think any of that happened.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't have a problem with anything like that, even if it did happen. But
well, I mean, even from the perspective of people who complain about wokeness, I don't think there was much there for them to really complain about. But they still do. But
I wouldn't say I hated the character; it just was kind of like bored with it.
I didn't like her any less than Shia LaBeouf's character, so just because it's female doesn't make her a bad character. I think.
Well, obviously that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know, but I'm talking about the woke.
And
woke.
Shia LaBeouf, I mean, at the time, I like the greaser aspect of the character. I don't like him being his son, especially because we get that nod to him being killed off in Vietnam in this.
Yeah. The greaser stuff made it feel you could feel the era. That helped with that. But
Well, they use that to
tried
break
to
up.
do a little bit of that with, but it just kind of didn't work. This felt errorless to me. Just felt like. I mean,
Well,
it felt
that's-
like Indiana Jones. I'll give it that.
that's the problem with it being 1969. It just doesn't feel like Indiana Jones as much anymore. But it's him in a completely different era.
Well, for sure.
And they tried to show him as like the fish out of the water near his retirement and everything else, and like him taking a disconnect from the students and all that. And it was just like,
who gives a fucking shit?
exactly. That's exactly how I felt throughout most of this movie. Like, like you said, Shaw was fine. It was like, I didn't hate the character. I thought the performance was great. I mean, I think that was fine. It's the writing of the character that.
Yeah,
it's the writing of it that.
I didn't have any issues with her.
It's just like a pointless character to me. I didn't like the vibe of the whole. Okay, it's my friend who has just been introduced now's daughter that we're having all this false history with that you guys don't actually know about, which is fine. It's realistic for I don't know every aspect of this man's life for sure. So it's like that's a minor little like tidbit part of that.
Well, it is weird not to bring any old allies back except for John Rhys Davies, and then you get Antonio Banderas later, and it's like I don't care about Antonio Banderas' character because he's in 5 minutes of the movie and dies.
Yeah.
If it had been Sal with a boat, then that would have been a different situation.
Yeah.
And certain things took me right out of that movie, right? They tried to show like old scuba gear, but you could tell they're using modern equipment, like the face mask. I'm like, that doesn't match the era to that at all. It doesn't look like. And so, like watching that whole sequence, like took me out of the.
Oh, the sea sequence I was bored with.
And then the other thing that pissed me off is the last two movies, and they all have like the cliche driving sequence or chase sequence, right? And this one just goes on for too long, just like it did in Crystal Skull. And I'm just like,
yeah,
you're just finding other things to do. You're like, okay, because they have these stupid little motorbikes that are the little taxi things. You're like, I don't give a fuck. This is stupid. And the CGI on it didn't feel fun or real. It just felt like a video game. Took me completely out of that. And it went on way too long. Now, it didn't Crystal.
I want to see action like that. Honestly, I just want to watch some James Bond movies because they've.
Well, and Indiana Jones is too old to do any of the action. He's just relegated to driver. So.
Yeah.
But he was basically Michael Keaton Batman swinging around on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it felt, I guess, did you guys feel like Indiana Jones himself was just, I know Harrison Ford's 80, so I'm assuming he was 79 when he shot this, but it just felt like they didn't do any like good action sequences with him. Like, I don't know if he couldn't or they just didn't write it, but it felt like he was like you got this iconic action adventure character that's just a fucking giant.
Well, he wasn't.
He only uses his whip during that auction thing, right? He doesn't like swing from anything or.
No, but he doesn't even have a gun though either. Like
Oh yeah.
So there's things in there. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? It was interesting that some of the writing choices I found very peculiar.
Well, I think they had like an Indiana Jones checklist, and they checked them off, but didn't put a lot of thought into them and make it original or like when they finally get to that cave and they discover the water displacement to find the hidden tomb or whatever. It's like it just checked it off. Well, we got to have this, but it wasn't very intricate or interesting.
It wasn't fun.
As soon as they find the fucking box or whatever, you're like, okay, now the villain's gonna show up and be like, ah.
Well, that happened a lot in this movie. The villains just show up constantly out of nowhere,
But
But also,
I mean,
like-
when every time he finds the artifact or whatever, the villain's either already there or showed up with him. You know, like that's how that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, they
When
can
They
say just
you know, this belongs in a museum like 400 times.
When the tomb is like right past a cave tour, like there's like tourist attraction, and they're like just right down the walkway a little bit is a hidden tomb. I mean, that's kind of weird.
And so, like looking at this, I noticed they had 4 writers credited, and that's assuming there's no ghost writing at all, right? Or just anyone doing like a script polish. And I'm like, it took 4 people to come up with this. This feels like a first draft to me, right? This movie feels like it started here, and there's some good ideas in it, but they're like, okay, so here's, there's a lot of the Indiana Jones throwbacks, and it just.
I'm not interested in the artifact. Like the other ones, even the Jesus ones are more interesting. Like time travel itself is more interesting than Jesus. But things that are are tangible that a lot of people know about. Versus nobody's heard of the Dial of Destiny. I don't think that's a real artifact, you know.
It actually is.
Okay.
What do they call it? Alchemy. It was actually a clock-like device that they found in like the wreckage of a ship, and they still don't understand how this mechanism existed that long ago. It's like the gears and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
It actually has the same name and everything. I mean, they don't call it the Dial of Destiny, but the other name that they had for it is an actual thing.
Either way,
But it doesn't predict time travel portals, of course.
would have been better to do like Atlantis, honestly, or the Fountain of Youth, which they did write a script for. That was fourth Indiana Jones in the 90s, but
they were going to do Fountain of Youth type shit again.
Well, the Fountain of Youth was originally what they did for the Last Crusade, and then they changed it from the Fountain of Youth to the Cup of Christ for all that.
then they changed it to the Fountain of Youth again for 4. But
I felt like that would have been a different locale, at least, right? This felt like we're rehashing a lot of the same places we've been.
Well,
I mean, the ocean scene could have been awesome, but it got really boring. Like, and it wasn't fun. Like, you can really make a great scene like that. I think of the Life Aquatic doing like interesting like diving scenes and stuff, and like all that was CGI clearly for the most part, right? And so, or shallow dives like in a tank, and it just
could you guys even tell what's going on in the underwater? Because it was pretty dark for
hardly
IMAX. It was too dark.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell if any of those people underwater were Indiana Jones, if that's what you're asking.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, the real device is called the Antikythera mechanism, not what do they call it in the movie? Antikythera something else, but
what if he was looking for the little puzzle box from Hellraiser?
Yeah.
Now that's an Indiana Jones movie I want to see. And then the other thing is like they found a way to break him up for Marion again, and you're just like, why? Like she could have been in this movie at least at the beginning, and like, but the way they wrote it, like we had to shoehorn it in at the end, and the ending I think is the only thing Harrison Ford wanted out of this movie. He just kind of wanted to see like how Indiana Jones ends up. He felt like that the last movie didn't really have closure on that.
All of these franchises, they do this. The character's old, and his entire life has fallen apart. I mean, they even did it with Han Solo. Him and Princess Leia weren't together anymore, and their son wasn't dead yet, but, I mean, he pretty much was dead. He's just, his dark side, is there. But so it's almost like Star Wars again. And
well, no shit. The guy who designed it and the villain.
Yeah. They always gotta have them old and depressed, and their life falling apart, and their wife leaving them, and
yeah, just like in Blade Runner.
And a lot of people I've heard them like, well, Indiana Jones was just supposed to be action man. Why are we deconstructing him and having these dramatic moments and analyzing his relationships?
Adventure man, not action man.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like people, I've seen people complain even bringing his father in the third one. They're like, we just want him to go on an adventure. We don't want to know about his private life.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm considering I only really like 2 out of the 5 Indiana Jones movies, that's not a good ratio.
Well, I love Temple of Doom, and I like the rest of them.
I love Temple of Doom. I like Raiders.
I don't dislike any of them, I don't think.
The rest are like, okay, like if I go long enough without watching it, I'll be like curious to watch it again, I'm sure. But
yeah, I don't rewatch them that often, but
I think
like
that's the same for me. Like, right?
Temple of Doom I could rewatch, but then when I just want to watch the rest of them too, and
I'm trying to figure out if I like this, where I rank this, at least in comparison to Crystal Skulls or Skull.
I honestly feel like I can't give an honest ranking right now because we missed the opening sequence. I feel like that's a pretty big piece of this movie that we missed.
it's a big piece. That's a good piece too.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. But I feel like we missed the best part of the movie, or at least the best sequences.
I think you did. Yeah.
And do you think they just superimposed Harrison Ford's face on somebody else, like a body double?
Well,
that whole opening sequence.
There's actually a video of Harrison Ford explaining what they did. There was a stunt double, and then there was deep fake, and they took footage from his movies from the 90s, like not Patriot Games. Was it Patriot Games?
The Fugitive, maybe?
Yeah, the early 90s Paramount movies. They had all that footage, so they got them from different angles. So it's more than just deep fake or what they normally do. It's actually him from that time, from other movies.
They also had people performing the stunts on the bikes and stuff in rubber masks that looked like him.
Yeah.
And then they just paste on top of that because it fits a little bit better, I'm sure.
He also said they did the shit where they put the dots on his face so he can do the motion capture and all this other. So it was pretty intricate. You have to look up that video of him explaining it. But.
Yeah, I'm just curious because, it felt like the scenes that are him his current age just felt like they kind of phoned it in because he couldn't do a lot of the action sequences. They kind of shoehorned him into these other sequences. And I'm like, you could have the old man really struggling to keep up with it and make it funny and reverent, and instead of just bringing in younger characters, like carry these scenes and make them super fast paced like they did.
There was also the flashback scene of 1951 when he's visiting his friend and the daughter is only like 12 or whatever, because he said it was 18 years ago. So he looks a little older. His hair's got a little white to it. It wouldn't have been too much before Crystal Skull, right? 6 years. Was it Crystal Skull 57? I don't remember.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think I like it better than Crystal Skull.
Without being able to see the opening sequence, I couldn't make that call.
Right.
I'm probably honestly going to side with Crystal Skull, but if I see it again, and that could change, but I don't think it will. Simply because it happens in Crystal Skull too, where I just kind of get bored in the middle. Because I think Crystal Skull starts out really strong, even throughout the atom bomb shit, up until really even when he's with Shia LaBeouf and they're on the motorcycle chase, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And once they are like finally in the jungle and shit, and they're getting close, and they're meeting against the villains again in the jungle, then it gets boring for a while. But this one, I was interested in the Nazi shit at the beginning, but we missed most of it. And then it quickly goes to old Indiana Jones, and you're like, all right, now he's got to get roped into some shit. Let's see it. Just give it here.
And the Nazi stuff, like the villain was just boring in this too, right? He's just like, oh, I want to travel back and have the Nazis win the war. And you're just like,
well, imagine if it wasn't played by Mads Mikkelsen. I mean, he's got such a great presence and such a good actor, but yeah, I don't think the character would have been much of anything with a lesser actor.
Yeah, I don't think it's his fault or anything, but his character was boring. I think it's just because he didn't speak a lot. Yeah. He wasn't menacing. He didn't seem insane. He just was very quiet and soft spoken.
Yeah, well, that's like a villain in Casino Royale too. He's almost like
has
someone
more
else's
menace to it. Even he was a fucking Nazi in this. It should be.
Yeah.
You know, just pull Christoph Waltz in and have him play Hans Landa again.
Yeah, I mean, really, that would have worked.
You are harboring the Dial of Destiny under your floorboards, are you not?
But I am very happy that they didn't overdo like fan service, and you know, they weren't constantly winking at you like, remember that. I mean, they do the thing at the end where he kisses her elbow and you know whatever from the first movie, but
even that to me just felt so shoehorned in. We're like, oh yeah, we got to have him get reconciled with her, and I'm like, she had nothing to do with this whole movie besides the fact that he almost died, and now she wants to reconcile.
Yeah, I don't understand why she came back. I don't understand why he didn't wake up in a hospital, and what happened with him being framed for murder. Like, why aren't there police?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a weird thing. That like, I didn't understand why he was being framed for murder, and I couldn't tell if that was just because I wasn't paying attention at the wrong moment or missed something at the beginning. I have no idea, but.
Well, maybe framed isn't the right word, but they thought that he might be responsible for killing his coworkers on his retirement day. But then he fled the country, so you know that does look kind of suspicious. But
yeah, but then they try to like have this whole space thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've got them to the moon. They owe me," and you're like, "What?" Like that was like really bizarre. Like they're trying to force in the sign of the times, and then.
Yeah, I guess the villain worked for NASA with developing the rockets and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, okay, I get you had a lot of ex-Nazi scientists doing this stuff, but like to me, that would have been a more interesting concept. Was like
how this guy his identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And they fucking time travel.
I mean, it's not weirder than the Jesus stuff, but it does seem like after the response to the aliens in the last one, you'd think they might be like, okay, let's not do something that might seem even crazier.
I think they went with the Romans because the Roman attire is at least similar to the Last Crusade dude who's, you know, you chose wisely and all that shit.
I mean, I get it, right? If you're saying like, what is it, Archimedes?
Yeah, but
Archimedes, yeah.
I didn't understand why Indiana Jones wanted to blow this guy so hard. Like he was like, let me just the tip. I want to suck just the tip, Archimedes. Please, just let me suck just the tip while I die.
Well, I think it's just he was just excited to be in the past. I think it would have been anybody or any time period who would have been happy.
I just didn't feel it for him. It didn't make sense to me. It felt like at that moment I learned things that.
Well, they try to give you some They try to give you some history, like he's been after this thing it's been a part of his life for 25 years, to some extent. So they give you some background on it, I guess. But
yeah, but
I thought he
doesn't even in it necessarily, you know. Like he said,
thought he was
magic and all that shit, but like, no, it belongs in a museum. He doesn't want to activate it and use it until they force him to use it. He wasn't ever going to use it by himself. So the fact that he ends up there, it's I don't know, just strikes me as odd.
He thought he was gonna
leave me here.
He thought he was gonna die anyway. He just wanted to die there instead of going back.
But that's fucking.
And he
weird.
like he said, he's like he doesn't have anything waiting for him back in his time either. So, well, I thought he was gonna die, and for a minute I thought maybe it was him they found in the tomb because they had the watch on and shit. I was like, is that gonna be Indiana Jones' body?
That would have been an interesting way to fucking cap the series out. Like, no more.
Well, yeah, there's no finality to this movie at all. They even do that thing at the end with his hat. And it's like, are you going to wrap this series up or what? Because how is this different than him getting married to Marion at the end of the last one? It's the same thing. He didn't think that was a very good ending, but it's the same ending, you know, really.
Yeah.
He's got a daughter instead of a son, and he gets with Marion. It's the same ending as the last one. He should have died. Just, you know.
I was surprised they didn't kill him off, honestly. And then they did the same bullshit they always do with heroes, right? Where you don't. Okay, Indy gets shot in the shoulder, right? Well, he's probably going to bleed out from that before they do anything. They don't ever apply any real first aid.
It's Yeah, it's a little lower than shoulder, but yeah, he should have
And
been
then the child flies an airplane.
Yeah. All because he
Who's never
practiced on
touched an
some,
airplane before.
and they show some makeshift scene of him flying it at a bar that he's helping keep people out of for the auction. And you're like, oh my God, what are you guys doing?
This,
Like,
this movie. Go ahead.
I won't say I hate this movie. It's a movie. It was okay. But this just terrifies me that James Mangold, isn't he supposed to be doing a Star Wars movie now? And I'm like, how did you take such an iconic franchise and just come out with the movie that's like, meh?
Well, he made Logan too, though.
Yeah, that's a great fucking film. And then he made this. And
Well,
this is
how much creative freedom do they have? We don't, who knows?
But yeah, but a smart director would walk away from that if you know you're not going to be happy with the end result. Your name's on it.
Yeah, it happens. So
Justin's
maybe it'll help his career in the long run. Well, I bet they thought, well, if this movie makes $2 billion, we're going to make Harrison Ford make another one. That's probably why the ending was the way it was.
Well, it's not going to.
No,
it's already.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I think that's what scares me the most is how all these blockbusters are underperforming this summer.
Yeah, there's lots of.
I don't think Fast X underperformed.
Yeah.
No.
Well, some movies I think are just like, oh, I got to see it because it's trendy. I just think that's how a lot of things are.
But Fast X is not trendy. Most people hate those movies. Like those are they still get lots of people to see them though.
I still think it's trendy though.
It's
I think people that hate it go see it though too. I think.
I mean, Indiana Jones is one of those things that if that's not doing well, then a lot of this nostalgia bait shit isn't going to.
That does surprise me, but maybe that shit's dying out and people are just getting tired of it, especially when they overdo the fan service. But Top Gun 2 did really good, so.
Here's the problem is that they are still doing 80s nostalgia and they aren't doing this 90s nostalgia enough yet. That's what's hitting right now, so that's what they need to focus on.
What should their first movie of 90s nostalgia be, you think?
Shit, I don't know.
Well, they are making I Know What You Did That Summer 30 Years Ago, or whatever the fuck they're going to call it. So that's a 90s, or was that 2000? That was a 90s movie, right?
Well, the Scream movie that came out and that they are still doing is technically started in the 90s, but they just need to revisit some of that stuff instead of Indiana Jones. No. Like, it was cool to do Top Gun just because they hadn't done it yet, and it turned out amazing. So,
well, I think that's the thing is like everyone's expectations have just gotten lowered and lowered, and they're just like, I'll just wait to stream it at home because like if it's not going to be good, I don't want to go spend my hard-earned money on it.
I think that's what made this so good for me is I had such a low expectation. I think it's still better than most of these long overdue sequels. I think Top Gun is better, but what else is better than this that was 30 years overdue or whatever?
Well, this wasn't even 30 years overdue. I mean, this is only a decade from the last one.
Well, 15 years, but yeah.
Yeah, close. I mean, yeah, but still.
But I'm saying just out of the long overdue movies, how many were actually better than this even? Besides Top Gun.
I mean, if I looked at a list, I'm sure
Bill and Ted, maybe. Bill and Ted
was. I personally liked the Bill and Ted movie, the third one, better than this. I'm going to easily watch it 100 times over.
Yeah,
I had a good time with that. Even the bad stuff, I'm still like laughing at because it's bad.
And it's comically bad.
That I really would critique on it is that for some reason Keanu just couldn't slide back into character.
Yeah.
But fucking Alex Winter slayed that movie.
Yeah, Alex Winter was the rock star of that movie. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they could have done a lot worse, and I'm glad that they didn't. So I'm content with it. I was never bored. I wasn't constantly like, what the fuck, or annoyed by a fan service. So
I was kind of bored a lot, so it's a bummer.
I was okay with it.
Yeah, see, for me, I mean, I compare it to Afterlife for the fact that
I like
you're
this
kind
better
of
than Afterlife.
see. I like Afterlife a lot better than this, and I'll watch that.
Is 100 times
This-
better than this.
This
This
I don't think
is
this movie I don't think this movie sours the rest of the franchise like Afterlife did for me anyway.
This
I don't
this
think
really
yeah.
I don't know.
it really fucks
doesn't-
up it really fucks up the whole ending of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because they just showed that this guy's a routine fucking asshat. Right? You're like, oh, yep, your kid dies and then your marriage is fucked because neither of you know how to cope. And you're like, fuck off. Such a fucking cliche, stupid thing to have in a movie. And then they went the lazy way and killed him off. Like, oh, yeah, he died in between movies. You're like, okay.
Jurassic World. There's a legacy sequel that was better than this, and even that I critique the shit out of.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
was pretty. That was all right. That seems more like a spin-off movie than a sequel, though. But
No, it's just that it has some different characters because I mean, they're interchangeable.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a lot of them that have come out recently. The nostalgia baits, at least the ones that I've seen. The
there
new Predator.
hasn't been that many.
But they had been doing a couple of those recently. So
Well, that's
Yeah, the
a
newest
prequel.
Predator was the best Predator since Predator 2, though.
Yeah.
Prey is what that one was called. But yeah, the rest of them, you're just like, yeah. It just
I mean,
seems
they
like
Halloween 2018. I really like. I would definitely watch that 100 times over than this again.
yeah, me too.
The other two are a little more
no.
debatable,
Yeah.
but I still would probably pick those because Halloween Kills at least it has a lot of cringy shit in it, but I'd probably have a fun time laughing at the cringe shit, and there's a lot of fun kills in that.
Yeah, if you edit it down to just the kills, I would rewatch it.
And then I liked Ends. I don't care what people say,
Yeah, I like Ends.
It did some fresh stuff, so I was fine with it.
I had to sit through kills so they can sit through Ends. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for this, it's like, yeah, I'll watch it again just to get another take on it and like see what I missed.
Yeah.
But I just didn't. It doesn't feel like it was worth the wait and the hype.
Well, I wasn't waiting for it because I didn't think it would ever. I mean, since it was announced or since 2008? Because I didn't think they'd ever make another one. So.
Oh no! Since it was announced, I mean, since they said, "Hey, we're going to do another one," I mean, that to me, like, I didn't really care if they ever did another one or not. But then,
I'm just so happy it wasn't worse. So I'm perfectly content.
Why don't they do another Romancing the Stone, Jewel of the Nile movie?
Yeah.
Michael Douglas, and Danny DeVito.
they should.
What's her face?
Yeah, at this point.
Well,
no,
They
Hollywood,
bring
they-
Brendan Fraser back for another Mummy. 90s bait.
Yeah.
The third one of those wasn't good, but you can make a good fourth one, I bet, these days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did you guys think that he mimicked Steven Spielberg? I think this movie was a lot more brutal than one. Do you think that he mimicked Steven Spielberg's directorial style very well at all, or?
No, I felt like I was watching Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Do you think it was a fan
I'm not kidding.
film?
It felt like it was more like a political thriller. How it was shot.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal too. Like they were just murdering people left and right with their fucking guns there. Murdered all his co-workers and then his buddy on the boat. And
well, and then the fact that he didn't care about that, like he said, he'd worked at that place for like the last 10 years, and like, yeah, you get your flight.
He was upset there when he found the bodies, but yeah, they didn't do much with it otherwise.
Well, they just don't ever show how fucked up a person would be from that. Like, yeah, being on the run like that, going international, like, I just feel like they really didn't understand what that character would be going through, especially as an older guy that realized he's, like, looking at the last bit of his life, you know? I don't know.
Then on the boat when Shaw was being all, like, happy-go-lucky, and he's like, friend, Antonio Banderas. So they do acknowledge it. they give us some lip service, but they don't go too far with it.
Yeah, it doesn't make me care. It just makes me think he's an asshole. I'm like, you don't give a fuck about any of these people that died for you? Like, yeah, you're going to go stop this guy, but do you really need to? Like, is it going to change what you're doing? Like, clearly he fucked it up on his own.
Well, if he had just destroyed the half that he got, like he promised his friend he would, then this movie wouldn't even have happened.
I'm debating whether or not it should have.
So Indiana Jones has
Why
been
isn't
shot
somebody-
10 times. Oh, what are you saying, Alex?
I'm bored with Indiana Jones. I was going to say, why haven't they made another Jaws sequel? I mean, you don't like that's not as bad as remaking it, especially considering all of the Jaws sequels that have already been made.
Mm-hmm.
So just fucking make another one.
Well, you got Meg 2 coming. You missed that trailer also.
I don't give a fuck. Meg 2. I'm good. I want.
I was gonna say
Jaws
Indiana
5.
Jones has been shot. He's been shot 10 times. So what do you guys give this movie out of 10 gunshot wounds?
Well, clearly they should have shot him a few more times and ended these movies a little earlier.
Like I said, with missing that opening sequence, I feel like if I had seen the opening sequence, I would have really liked the first third of this movie a lot more. But having missed that, I feel like the rest of it just like meh, and it was way too fucking long for what it needed to be too.
Yeah, but even that, if we were to have seen that, I feel like that'd be that was a good part. But then the rest of the movie sucked still, so that's not going to make it better for me.
I feel like it's going to make me more disappointed when I go and watch it eventually and be like, oh, this is what the potential this had, and then here's what you did.
Yeah.
What would you guys give it out of 10?
Well, if I'm grading on an Indiana Jones scale with Temple of Doom at 10, and
Well, pretend like you saw the beginning of it and you
Raiders
loved
at
it.
9, Last Crusade at 7, Crystal Skull probably a 7 also. Right now, this is probably a 6. Like,
Okay.
you know,
Justin?
that's on the scale.
Yeah. And Justin?
If
That's
I
being-
wasn't using, if I'm just going on a scale of 10, I give it a 4 or a 5. And I say 5
give it a
because
40?
the technical craftsmanship on it's fine. Like there's some things that were interesting. Visually, it looked okay, better in some spots than others. The story and the writing really felt fucking lazy. Like I don't give a shit about what's happening to Indiana Jones in this. Like his kid's dead, all of his coworkers are dead, and he doesn't give a shit. And we're dealing with Nazis again, and not in a fun, unique way. I'm just like, I don't really fucking care.
Yeah,
It's a fine
that's the
movie.
biggest thing is that I just don't care.
They don't
I
make
don't
me
even
give
care
a
if
shit
there was
about it at
another
all.
Indiana Jones movie coming out. I was good with the 4 we had. Like that's fine.
I mean, I was curious about this new one, right? I wouldn't say I'm like a diehard, but I'm like, okay, well, I'll check that out and see what it's all about. But
The most exciting thing I was excited for, the only reason I probably even went last night was because we went to the drive-in. I was more excited to just be at the drive-in and see this movie. But I did like seeing an Indiana Jones movie. I think I liked it more because we saw it at the drive-in. So,
yeah, had I seen that at the theater, I might have rated this a 2 or a 3. Because
I'd
here's the other
appreciate
thing
that.
we didn't talk about, right? We used an old school like AM FM mono radio, and it basically mimicked the sound of those old drive-in speakers, the mono speakers. And so we're listening to that mono, and like it really made the nostalgia feel good in the moment. But like when you look at the movie critically from what it offered and what it did, it was just like I mean, the drive-in was my favorite experience. Like the weather was perfect. Had a full moon out there.
Mhm.
Like it was great for that. The speaker was nostalgic. It felt like a good throwback there for a legacy sequel or whatever you want to call it. And the movie just failed to deliver and keep me interested and make me realize, like, why did you spend all that money on this movie that just seems like a bad
300 million.
investment? Yeah, it seems like a bad investment. Like, and I even heard them talking shit on The Flash lately, saying, like Warner Brothers would have actually saved money by scrapping the Flash movie altogether because they wouldn't have spent
Well,
all
yeah.
that additional money on marketing.
Right.
And I'm like, that's fucked
Yeah.
up. But
And
I kind of
yet,
wonder,
he got the
is that?
Flash and didn't get Batgirl.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would have rather got Batgirl, to be honest. I mean, like, that's fine with Michael Keaton. Plus, I haven't seen a Batgirl movie. I care more about anything Bat related than the Flash. It's the only reason I cared about the Flash. So,
And on all
I'll
honesty,
give it.
oh, go ahead.
So I'll give it an 8.
Damn, high praise.
7.5, 8. You know, I'll say 8, just because I'm just happy that they didn't make me hate the franchise. So.
See, to me, this kind of made me hate Indiana Jones.
I think he
Like,
just wasn't
no.
snarky enough. Like, that's my thing.
Not
He
for me.
wasn't enough of a bit of an asshole.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it'd be funnier if he was more crotchety as an old man, too, about his assholishness.
Yeah, he should have been more of an ass about it. Or like, I can't keep up with you. Like when they're climbing that thing, I'm like, dude, you wouldn't be doing that in real life. Now, granted, he is in great shape for a fucking 80-year-old.
Yeah, they even do he's got a shirtless scene in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was his same measurements as he was when they did
Oh, yeah, I heard
the
that.
brother movie.
I don't know. Like, I don't have any desire to watch this again anytime soon. Give it a couple of years. I'll probably watch it at home just to kind of say, hey, did I miss anything, and get that opening sequence down. But
Yeah.
I'll watch it when I marathon the franchise, you know, every couple of years or whatever.
see, but it's to me, like you said, this doesn't take away from the other stuff. This to me does, because
Well, it
that's
didn't for me. It didn't.
There's 5 movies to watch when, you know, you've got one amazing movie and you've got really fun sequences and some good things in all the rest, but not like an overall amazing picture start to finish. So
Yeah.
that's what I've got to say about
All I
Indiana
gotta
Jones
say about that.
and the Dial of Destiny.
Okay.
Pretty much same. It's who'd you want to most want to bang?
Oh God.
My fucking head against a wall.
I
don't know.
don't remember. I don't remember a particularly attractive person in this film.
I mean, Harrison Ford, if I can pick him when he's 30.
And the time travel sequences, the younger sequences.
Yeah. I'm all for that. You're crazy
Yeah.
if you don't pick that. Otherwise, you're going with Shaw. And
Yeah.
I mean his daughter, basically, Shaw.
I'd have to see her naked, I guess. I don't know.
She has the same requirements for you, bud.
Yeah.
I've seen her naked before.
Do you know that she's a writer too? She was one of the script writers on the last James Bond movie.
Well,
Interesting.
she should have helped do
so
a rewrite of this trash.
Well, that's why I wonder if she had any writing credit or any writing time on this one.
Don't know.
Nick would most likely bang Sala,
Probably.
his old
I
ass.
do like him. Yeah.
Nick likes it since he's not able to walk well and he can't get away from him fast.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I liked it
Yeah.
more than you guys.
Yeah. Unusual. Like, I just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Still
same.
don't.
I mean, I still had a nice time at the drive-in just because it was the drive-in. So overall, I'm not mad that I went, but yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my takeaway from this is that we need to see more movies at the drive-in. That's my ultimate.
And if other people like this movie a lot, that's fine. They probably like Indiana Jones more than me. That's all that is. Because
Yeah.
I didn't even give a shit going into this. I wasn't like excited, like, holy shit, another new Indiana Jones movie on the way there. That wasn't me. It's not like how I felt on the way to see Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
It's just not comparable. It's just kind of like, I guess, sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, let us know what you think about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny in the comments. Let's smash that like button and subscribe and check out our Patreon.
And listen to Distorted Nick. Hopefully they can understand you throughout this. You sound like a fucking drive-through character.
To return some videotapes. To return some videotapes.